Walt Disney Company and Bob Iger specifically have bet it all on this Disney Abu Dhabi theme park. Now, not money. They put absolutely no money into this, but this is the lasting impact of Bob Iger's legacy. Everything was all speed ahead. It was looking like this was going to be one of the biggest, most powerful theme parks in the world. And then the world caught up with it. We're going to talk about it today on That Park Place. All right, you see from thatparkplace.com, this is one of my articles. Disney Abu Dhabi theme park faces new uncertainty as U.S. urges Americans to leave the Middle East region. So, guys, you all know what's going on. We don't need to get into all of the politics of it, but obviously there are military operations currently going on in the region, and that is causing them to basically pull out, American workers and tourists. So the U.S. State Department has issued a sweeping advisory urging Americans to immediately depart more than a dozen Middle Eastern countries, a move that could raise serious questions for major U.S. corporate projects in the region, including the upcoming Disney Abu Dhabi theme park resort. According to Reuters, did you say that is Reuters or Routers?
I think it's Reuters.
Reuters. I was totally wrong then. I always just read it. I never say it. According to Reuters, the State Department on Monday called on Americans to immediately leave multiple countries, including Saudi Arabia and the United Arab Emirates, amid escalating regional tensions tied to U.S.-Israeli strikes in the region. State Department Assistant Secretary for Consular Affairs, Maura Namdar, said U.S. citizens should depart using available commercial transportation, quote, due to safety risks. Now, while this guidance is primarily aimed at private citizens and government personnel, the warning inevitably casts a shadow over American business operations across the region, including Disney's high-profile expansion into Abu Dhabi. Now, in May 2025, the Walt Disney Company announced its plans to build its 7th global theme park on Yas Island in Abu Dhabi through a partnership with regional developer Miral. Under the agreement, Miral finances, constructs, and operates the resort. Disney licenses the intellectual property, and Imagineering will lead the creative design and provide oversight. Well, it's kind of hard to provide oversight, though, Vash, when you aren't there. At this time, we don't know specifically how many Disney Imagineering personnel are stationed in the UAE. However, Disney has previously stated that its Imagineers will play a key creative oversight role in the project. If the State Department's advisory leads to sustained travel restrictions or corporate caution around U.S. personnel in the region, it could complicate future site visits and on-the-ground collaboration as the project moves deeper into development. Vash, Sky, this could push things back a bit.
Oh, absolutely. It could push things back, and who knows? Who knows what the ultimate fallout will be from this current conflict right here, and how the whole Abu Dhabi project or even tourism in general might be affected by all of this. This is the wrong package. Let me go ahead and pause this real fast here. Sorry about that.
It's Abu Dhabi, isn't it?
It is, but there's another one I want to go ahead and showcase instead. No, this has serious implications, right? Because I mean, right when this current conflict broke out, we saw reports that the Dubai airport, which is this kind of crossroads of the world. Maybe it's mislabeled. I don't know. Enjoy the people.
It's the same exact way.
It might be. There might be a little bit of Magic Kingdom in there, but no, this crossroads of the world that Bob Iger was very, very forthright about. He's like, look, listen, you have all of these planes, coming in and out. It is one of the big destinations that people hit along the way if they're going, across the great continent of Asia and so forth. Whether you're going to Japan on one side or China and maybe Europe on the other. It is a melting pot of so many people looking to get to various destinations. So, I think for tourism, I think the UAE and some of those other officials out there were thinking, okay, this is going to be, a hotspot for developing this kind of activity in this industry in this region. Unfortunately, when this conflict broke out, to the Dubai airport went. They canceled all flights and it was basically shut down. Where like nobody could actually leave, and nobody could obviously come in. Now it has come up a little bit, but I think they only let like 8 flights fly or something like that. I mean, it's very, very difficult to now get out of the region, and so people who are visiting there are now kind of trapped there. And so the UAE has announced that their tourism board will actually cover the costs of people's extended hotel stays and so forth. I mean, there's just a lot going on there. On the flip side, we do have video out there in multiple places of the internet where you have tourist sites unfortunately being affected directly from this conflict. I don't know how much I can say on YouTube, but it all kind of presents this question of, does necessarily morale want to keep going down this path? Are they going to have the same kind of funding that they previously did? I think this is one of the most over leveraged places in the world, which I thought was very, very interesting. So what does that mean for the future of this? I'm not quite sure. But regardless, it wouldn't be Disney canceling this. It would really be either them pulling out or morale canceling it on their side. And the thing about Disney maybe pulling out of this thing is you got to think they're getting a huge cash payout in order to provide their services right here. And I think Jonas had a tweet actually saying that, hey, this thing's the ink has not dried on the steel, or maybe hasn't even been signed to begin with. So this puts the whole thing in question.
I want to talk about that actually. Let's because if
Please.
you look in this financial report for investors that they just put out for 2025, they do mention the Abu Dhabi resort. And what they say in this is, in May 2025, the company Miral agreed to create a Disney-branded theme park and resort in Abu Dhabi, United Arab Emirates, to be built and operated by Miral. The company will license its IP for the operation of the resort and provide certain development and management services. The company will earn royalties based on the resort's revenues and fees for development and management services. The company will not provide capital for the development and operation of the resort. The development of the resort is subject to finalizing agreements among the parties.
Oh boy. Oh,
black and white,
no.
right there. This is it sounds like this is not a done deal yet.
That's what that is saying. It sounds like we we're on the road to inking this deal and to finalize all of the aspects surrounding it, but
he went out there and he announced it and he did his Walt Disney LARP. I mean, what are you saying? Erica,
yeah.
What does this do to Bob Iger if suddenly they're like, hey, there's been a complication?
I don't know. He's kind of out the door, kind of not. I know Tomorrow was the one.
Like this was supposed to be Bob Iger's big final thing.
But it did. I don't know. It came across to me like Tomorrow was the one that seemed more front and center. I could be wrong. To me, it seemed like he.
No, this is being put forward as they're saying
as
Tomorrow
Iger's last legacy thing.
But this is the Bob Iger legacy thing. This is Bob Iger being like, look what I've done on my way out the door. I've created another theme park that we're not actually creating.
Well, the joke's on him.
Yeah.
I mean, it's kind of turned. It isn't a joke. It's 50-50 if it'll happen or not. I don't see Abu Dhabi necessarily being the party that pulls out. If anything, they'll keep pushing for it and just delay it. I think they're the ones that really want it. They were the ones that reached out to Disney. If anything, it'll be on the American side. It'll be Disney that says, they'll have their reservations.
MJ, what do you think? Like, this area of the world has kind of been put forward as this huge tourism destination. Like, this is supposed to be the tourism hotspot of the world now, from between Saudi Arabia and Abu Dhabi. And now all of a sudden we're seeing that this area is still incredibly unstable and incredibly unsafe.
I agree. I do agree with Erica that it'll be on this side of the world that'll probably, pull out. But I think it's going to happen. And the reason why I say that is because of all the competition that's going on that side. I just think it's going to be a really intimate park. It's not going to be anything like Japan or Paris or anything. I think it's going to be something really intimate, and it's not going to have that many attractions. I don't think. I think it's more of like an experience. You walk in and you get the whimsical feeling of you're in Disney. They're going to have characters and maybe some of the merch and stuff like that. I don't think it's going to be anything like the domestic parks or even the ones in Asia. But I think it's going to happen. But you never know, because when you see subject to, that's a big maybe. But I could see it happening. I don't see why not. I know right now we're not in such good times, but that doesn't mean, things are just drastically changing. Look right now, all the flights, they're making it easier now more than ever to get to the other side of the world. People are traveling, people are going and visiting places, and it's all about clout, right? Where have I been? I went to Turkey. I rode a camel. Like, everyone wants to go somewhere and see something. And I do see it happening. I just don't know how long it'll take. It's probably not going to be around until like 2040, but I do see it happening.
You know, Marvin, it's very interesting. I remember when Michael Eisner first forwarded the idea of maybe an airline that Disney would own and operate. And the thing that made him pull out was the idea of a, Mickey emblazoned plane and going down the middle of the country or something like that. And you had television cameras or the media out there, taking a picture of a downed aircraft with Mickey's face on it. And that was like, it was like, we can't overcome that PR or those optics right there. And so when I look at something like this, and I look at certain targets, let's say, of different areas of this, and what we've been seeing out there on social media feeds, it does give me pause a little bit, where it's like, hey, if Abu Dhabi Disney existed today, it could have been a target. And what happens when that is the case? I understand it's Miral operating. Still got Disney's name on it. Well, so, you got to think about
that. Despite the fact that the Disney company has kind of been pulling away from Americana in recent years, Disney is still very much associated with the United States because of how Walt Disney presented the parks initially. So Disney is 100% an American thing. It is a symbol of America. And that's why after, the 11th of September, 2001, we all had to see, extra crackdowns and security for Disney, because Disney was a target, because it is such a symbol of America, right? Like a symbol of like the American machine. Right. And which like burns the butt of the modern C-suite who want nothing to do with the United States.
That's very true. But there were federal officials.
It could be an attack, because look, it is unlikely that hundreds of years of instability is going to be fixed in the next 7.
Right.
Yes, and that was the whole thing surrounding this. By the way, Marvin, you bring up an excellent point where federal officials, including the FBI, actually told Disney, hey, look, listen, you might want to close down this castle attraction over there at Disneyland, because, well, it might be a target surrounding, post that incident, of course. Right. But getting back to this, I mean, that was the whole thing about the Abraham Accords and so forth. It was like, look, if you're going to be a tourist destination, people have to know that it's going to be safe to visit, that's going to be safe to leave, that safety and security will be utmost, and the perception out there will be, hey, this is a wonderful place to visit. Let's go ahead and check this out. When you see some of the stuff coming out now, that I think has been shaken a little bit. And so how will the consumer actually react to this? I mean, Six Flags Qiddiya just recently opened. I know it's a little bit, distinct from where we're seeing a lot of these targets out there in the Middle East. But then you have, I think, Universal wanting to get in the kind of the same area. Mm-hmm. It's just, how is this investment going to
that area? Warner Brothers has its own theme park on Yas Island. Mm-hmm. Warner Brothers World in on the Earth.
And yet somehow we don't have one in the U.S., which is beyond me.
Because if Warner Brothers were to build one in the U.S., they'd have to actually pay for it.
Yes, that's true.
And in the U.S., they've licensed all of their properties out to other theme park companies, so they would have to wait for all of that to expire.
Right, this is a cash payout right here. But it's like, I gotta think that the feasibility of all of this has got to be shaken from this whole thing.
Big time. All right, guys. Well, time is going to tell. As geopolitical situation out there unfolds, whether or not this Disney project is going to move forward, and whether or not the situation on Yas Island is going to become a big nah.
Thanks for watching That Park Plays News. For more information, consider checking out www.thatparkplace.com. And don't forget to subscribe, share, like, and send this out on your favorite social media accounts.